So now we're going to work with the app, which is going to be used to verify the informations that we write in our inputs, to make sure, for example, that this is a valid email, to make sure also that it's required for both of them. So you can define like a minimum, maximum, everything you want. So this is, and it goes very, very well with Formic. Like it goes together in a very exceptional way. So you can just go to Formic and then here, right here, and validation schema, and you define like a schema. So let's, for example, let's call it login validation. Okay, and we're gonna take this and we're simply gonna go right here and then const, and then we're gonna have, let me write this again. So this is gonna be const login validation, and it's gonna simply equal yup dot objects, and right here we're gonna have all the validation that we need, okay, for this form. And first of all, let's import it. So we're gonna go right here and we're gonna import everything, as yup, okay, from yup. Okay, so this way we can use yup to access everything, okay, so this is yup, this is gonna be yup like this. Okay, so I will go back right here, and here in the objects we can define whatever we want for the variable email, for example, and we're going to make sure like use yup.string. So this is a valid string, and also we can make sure that it's an email. So first of all, required, so we just add required right here, and then you can also define every other verification you want. But we want to see this in action, we want to see how it looks. Okay, and the way we're going to do it is simply, first of all, we're going to go back to the login input. Let's go back right here. Okay, so let's, for example, let's have another div right here, and we're gonna make sure we're gonna show the error that we get. Okay, because when the validation fail, it's gonna throw an error. Okay, and the error is gonna show right here. So simply we're gonna do it. So first of all, we're gonna make sure that you clicked or touched the input, so we can't just load the page and show you directly an error, because for example it's not going to be filled in the beginning, so it's an error. So what we don't want to show that directly, we want to make sure that at least he clicked on the inputs. Okay, that means he interacted with the input, then we're going to see there's an error. So that's what touch means. And also if there is a meta.error, that means there is an error in validation, we simply going to show the error. Okay, and the error message is a component from Formic. Okay, this is the error message, it's a self-closing tag, and here we're gonna just pass the name to be the meta.name. Okay, simply not the meta, sorry, the field.name. Okay, to make sure which one we're talking about. So the field.name, and the error message is going to be imported from Formic itself. Okay, and now, as I said, it's required, so it gives you their own messages. Okay, but also you can define. So let's refresh right now. We're not gonna see anything as long as we touch. When we go out, we're gonna get the verification message, and you can define like a message defaults by you. So you can go right here and write anything you want. So for example, let's go email address is required. Sorry for the noises, I can't help it, I live in a very busy place. Okay, so email address is required. So now we're gonna get, if we refresh this and let's try again, we're gonna get the error the new error that we have, which is email address is required. Okay, so also you can do other verification, simply just, for example, this is gonna be an email. Okay, so and you can have your right here. So for example, you can write this, like for example, must be a valid email. Okay, so you can use your own validation messages. And now if we write like something and we go out, it's gonna be like must be a valid email. Okay, and when it's a valid email, we're not gonna see an error. Okay, so this is the way how it works. It's pretty simple and pretty easy, and you can define like a minimum and a maximum. So you can go right here, minimum for the email or a maximum. So for example, a maximum like, I don't know, 100, you can define it. And and if you have like more than 100 characters, it's gonna throw an error. Okay, so this is like the type of validations that you can do. Okay, so and you can add a message right here. Okay, so just like this, and add whatever you want right here. Okay, so this was for the maximum, and you can also now go to the other field, which is going to be the password. Okay, so which is going to be, first of all, gonna make sure that is a string. Okay, and right here we gonna go, and for example, it's going to be required. Okay, that's for sure, and we can have a message or password is required. Okay, like this. Okay, so also you can have like a minimum and a maximum or other stuff. It should just depend on you. But for example, it doesn't matter for me if the password is you know, I don't know how many characters. We're gonna verify it when we use the backend, when we connect to the backend, and then we're gonna get the error message that is a wrong password. So we don't define like how many of the length of the password that we have. Okay, so this is simply how we use to verify. It's going to be more advanced when we work on the create accounts, because in the create accounts we have so many properties. So this is just like a minimum, you know, introduction to use the app with Formik for the login. Okay, and now we're going to work on make sure these error messages look actually like the ones right here. Okay, so if we went to the final project, as you see right here, the first thing that we're going to notice is that when we have an error, the border of the input changes to red. So this is can, you know, easily be, you know, added and manipulated. So simply let's go back right here. So this is our input. Let's add a class name, and as usually this is how you write your class name. But if you want to do some operations and do some checks, you open parentheses like this, and here you do your test. So simply you're going to go meta.touch. This is first, and also when there is an error, so meta.error. And now if there is everything, or you know, the meta is touch and there's an error, we're gonna have a class name, and the class name first of all is gonna be input error border. And this, so now let's make sure that this is right. So here underscore. So now when we have an error, we're gonna make sure that we add this class name, and all this class name is gonna do to this input, it just changed the color of the border to be red. Okay, red. Okay, so we can go right here and we can add this right here. Okay, and this is simply gonna make the border color to be different to the way we want, which is gonna be this color. I didn't add it in the variables. You can do it because we're gonna use it like 3 times, so you can do it. Okay, so this is the color and it's gonna be important. So let me make sure that is the right one. So B94. Okay, this is going to be 4, and also it's going to be 4H. So this is the right color. Okay, as you see right now, when there is an error, so let's refresh. There is no error. When there is an error, it's going to be red. Okay, so this is the first thing. And the second thing that we notice right here also, that we have this icon when there is an error. Okay, so we're going to work on this also. So simply we can go back right here, and this is going to be after the input. And let's do the same test. So we're going to see if there's an error, and also the meta is touched. Okay, so the same thing right here, and then we're just going to have, you know, an icon which is going to be in this icons folder, icons file. I've added all the icons, and this is the last one that I've added just a little bit ago. So you want to have the latest version, so in the attachments make sure that you have the latest file, because I've just added this, which is going to be the error icon. Okay, which is this one right here. Okay, so make sure that you have the latest file. Okay, so here, so when we have this, we're just gonna have I, and then it's gonna be error icon. Okay, so this is how it's gonna look, and this is how it's gonna be displayed the first time. Okay, so we're gonna, you know, make sure that it's in the right place. Okay, so we're gonna go right here, and then we're gonna go to the input wrap, and we're gonna select the I, which is only one, which is this one, and then we're gonna make the position to be absolute, and we're gonna make the right 5 pixels and the top to be 15 pixels. Okay, so it doesn't look like it's in the right place, but believe me, it's gonna be after we do some things also. So like you can just for now make it in the center, but it's gonna change. Okay, and also we're gonna have transform, and transform is going to be scale. So you want to make it a little bit smaller, and scale, you know, scale it. You can make it smaller, or you can make it larger using scale. I think you all know this. Okay, so this is simply what we've done. Okay, so these are the first 2 things. Also want to make sure for the as you see right here, this is there, we have this, you know, red background. Okay, so we can go back right here, and let's go back to the login input, and this is gonna be right here. So this is the one that, you know, are related to the error. So right here we're gonna have, let's go right here, and we're gonna have the class name, and this is gonna be input error. Okay, so we can have it like this. Okay, I'm just making sure that everything is all right. So right here, and then as you see, the first thing that we're gonna have, so position is gonna be relative, and also we're gonna have a padding of 15 pixels and 10 pixels from right. Okay, the background is gonna be the same one right here. Okay, and as you see, it's changed right now. Also make the width to be 100%, so take the full width of the parents, and as you see, it's shown even though there is no error. So we're gonna control that later to make sure that it's not be shown until there's an error. Okay, and also we're gonna make sure that the color is white. Like when I use, like for this example, okay, when I use like a color and I don't use the variable of the color, it's simply because I want to make sure even like when you use the dark mode or any other mode, it's still white. So this is not gonna change. This is gonna be red, and the writing is gonna be in white. Okay, no matter what mode we are in. That's why I define them like this. So the font size is gonna be 13 pixels, and also the border radius is gonna be 5 pixels, and the last thing, so this is everything. And as you see right now, when we have errors, it's gonna be displayed this way. Okay, so before this, if you open like the terminal right here, we're gonna have these two errors right here. So the first one is gonna be warning received false for a non-boolean attribute class name. If you want to write it to the DOM, pass a string instead of class name equal false. So simply what that means, we have class name here to be access. When the meta h starts and the mirror there's an error, then the class name is gonna be like this. Okay, what if not? So if this is not true, what the class name is gonna be? So by default it's gonna be false, because this is gonna be false. So the way you're gonna do, which is simply go do a wider test. So this is gonna be the class name if this is true, else the class name is gonna be empty. Okay, so this is gonna get the the error or the warning over. So also we have this error right here. So this is just simply from me. If we're back to the public folder and the manifesto.json, I defined this element, the logo. This is like the default logo for the application. I've removed it, so I'm gonna use my ones right here. So right here, and go back to the index.html, and right here on the Apple Touch icon, let's define my icon right here. So this is going to be icon.png, which is Facebook icon. Okay, I have it right here in icons, in icon.png. This is the Facebook icon that we have right here, okay, on the tab. So let me define it also for the others. So I'm going to go back to the manifest.json, and right here I'm just going to remove this, and it's just going to be from icons, then the icon dots or it's png. Okay, and then I'm gonna copy this and change it right here. Okay, and let's try and refresh this, and then as you see, the error is now gonna be, or the warning is gonna be over. Okay, so this way we fix this silly errors right here. This is not gonna be shown until there's an error. Okay, so this is the input error div. So because when we have an error, then it's gonna be fulfilled, but we want to show it only if there's an error. Okay, so we're gonna go back right here, and then we're gonna take this, and this is gonna be when the meta is touched, and we're getting bored of this. It's the same thing. Okay, when everything is wrong and there is an error, then we're gonna show it. So this time it's not gonna be shown until there's an error. So if we refresh, it's not gonna be shown until there's an error. Okay, I'm sorry. So now one of the things also that we're going to make sure to do is that you see we have this input error, which is this div, and after this we have the inputs. Okay, so the input error and then the input, same way it goes for the second one. But as you see in the final version right here, the second one we have it after the inputs and not before it. So how are we going to make sure that, and how are we going to understand in these components that this is in the bottom and not in the top? So simply you go back to the first page right here, and in the page right here, and in the input that we're gonna pass the second one, we just gonna pass another attribute, let's call it bottom. Okay, and we're gonna get it right here, and simply that means this component, the bottom, is gonna be true when it's passed. Okay, so for the second one it's gonna be true, and the first one is gonna be false, because this is gonna be false because it's not passed. So this is how you can pass components or attributes like this. Okay, so simply now we can go right here. So this one on top is only gonna be shown if the element is on top. So this means that it's right here, it's not bottom, so bottom false. And now it's gonna be shown for the first one, so the second one is not gonna be shown. So how we're gonna do it to the second one, we're gonna copy this and have it after, and then also this is gonna be shown when when it's in the bottom true. Okay, and now it's gonna be shown after the elements. I didn't want to use absolute positioning because this is gonna ruin thing, so this is a better approach. Okay, so now you see this div is gonna be bottom, and this is going to be shown when we are not in the bottom. So simply like this. Okay, so also let's have right in the size, let's have a margin bottom, let's say like 15 pixels, just to give it a space. And now these elements right here, let's make this 15, and as you see it's different for both elements to understand where they are. So One of the things that we're gonna do for the first one, so you can go back right here. This is the arrow icon, this is the one, okay? And we're gonna go right here and have a style, an inline style, and the top. So we're gonna have backticks right here because we're gonna have a test. So I'm gonna make sure when it's not bottom, so we're not in the bottom. So that means right here, when we are not in the bottom, this means when the first one, then the top is gonna be, you can define what, you know, the value you want it. So I've done some, let me remember, like 60%, yeah, or maybe like 61%, you can like play with those values. I actually like doing it very different than the first time I've done it, okay? Because I try to say what I've done to make sure that I do it right, but I forgot how I done it, you know, and I didn't have any notes, so I have to redo it like live video, okay? So we're just gonna do it. If it works, that's fine. If it doesn't, we're just gonna look for another way. There is no giving up with web developments, okay? So another thing that we want to make sure that we work on is this triangle right here for both sides. So this is gonna be inside the input here div. So right here, we're gonna have it, and simply we're gonna have the same test, and then we're gonna show it right here. So let's call it, for example, arrow. For example, let's call it top, okay? So this is like for the top, and let's have it also right here, but this time it's gonna be for the bottom, okay? So let me show you how to create, you know, a triangle using CSS. So this arrow top, let's go back right here and let's create. So how to create it? It's actually very, very simple. You can see right here, so you can just define where is the base of the triangle, okay? So if we went for the first one, the base of the triangle is on the top. So this is the base and this is the point. So the top is the base. For the second one, the base is the bottom. So simply like this. So we can go, we're gonna work like on the top one. So let's go and do border top. So we're gonna start with the base, okay? And then we're gonna have a width for it, and then solid, and you define like a background, which is gonna be yellow, okay? Just an example. And then the rest is going to be simply, we're going to see anything other than, you know, the points right here. So what left, the right, and the left. So we can just go border right, and then it's going to be 10 pixel solid, but the background is going to be transparent, simply like this. And this not border radius, border right, okay? And then also going to be the same for border left. And this is the way that you create a triangle. And as you see, this is going to be position absolute to show it. Okay, so it doesn't take the full width of the element. So position absolute, and now you see the triangle. But our triangle is going to be in this color, not yellow. So let's change it. Let me get the color. So this is the color. And now we're just going to make sure that it's positioned right here. So this is going to be bottom. So it's by default bottom 0, so to show it all, just gonna be minus 10 pixels minus the width that we have right here, okay? And now we have it. So that was quite simple and easy. So we can go back and work on the second one, which is in the bottom. So we can go right here, and then we're gonna define the bottom, and it's gonna see define the base. The base is the bottom, so this is gonna be the same. And this is gonna be border bottom. And then position, let's go back right here to show it, and then position is going to be absolute, and then the top is going to be minus 10 pixel. So the top minus 10 pixel, and as you see, it's like this. So that was like simply easy. So you can now work on to make sure that they are exactly the way you want them, you know, to make sure this is, you know, translated a bit down, and this is like also a bit down. So you can go back here. So this is like the input area right here. You can have like a styles, and this is, you know, exactly in the first one because we have no bottom is full. So you can just simply go transform, and then right here you're just gonna have translate y, and it translates it like 2 pixels. I don't know, you just play with these values. So let me make sure that this is right. This is gonna be style, okay? And as you see it's moved a bit. You can have like 3 pixels. Okay, that's fine. You can go also and have this style in the second one. So this is for the bottom, and you can have it like only like 1. Okay, so it's just up to you. You can play with the values to make it perfect. Just as I said, I show you the ways and you do it the right way for you. And as you see, Now it looks fantastic, but this is like for the mobile view. So if we went like F12 to see, also as I said, this is going to be the same problem with the, let's see, it's not. Okay, so that's all right. Okay, let me click on this and we have errors now. Okay, everything all right. Okay, so if we went to the mobile view, so now in the mobile view, so this is for iPhone 12 Pro, for the Pixel 5, for Samsung Galaxy, for other any devices, it's gonna be 100% responsive. Okay, so this is how it looks in the mobile view. It's gonna be different for the desktop view. Okay, so we're gonna work on that. So you know what we're gonna do right now? I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do.